The mountain dulcimer is about to come alive as Mark Eubank shows us how they're made. Let's take a look.
The dulcimer originated in the Appalachian Mountains. We don't know who built the first one. We don't really know when. My best guess would probably be somewhere around the Revolutionary War. But it basically stayed in the mountains until the 50s and the folk revival. And a young lady by the name of Jean Ritchie, who had a great singing voice and played dulcimer, wound up playing Carnegie Hall. And that's when the dulcimer pretty much started to become mainstream. I got into dulcimer building sort of by accident. I've done woodworking all my life. I've also been involved in music all my life. My dad played guitar and harmonica, was a big influence on me. About 15 years ago, I ran into a fella at a craft show. He started talking about dulcimers. He had one. I was familiar with the instrument, but I've played guitar all my life, so I always thought they were a little too simple for, to be serious. But to make a long story short, he almost demanded that I build one. And I came back home, just what I knew about stringed instruments and woodworking, and built one, which was pretty crude, but it played and it had a decent sound, and I was already thinking about how I would change the second one, so I was hooked and didn't know it. The draw is that it's an extremely easy instrument to learn, so people who think they could never learn to play an instrument can learn to play the dulcimer. The dulcimer is an easy instrument because it has a diatonic fretboard. There are no flats or sharps. If you're playing traditional style, you're actually playing one string and the other two are being played open, so it's kind of like self-accompaniment. So rather than learning how to play 6 strings like a guitar, you're basically noting one string. You can even do that with a stick, and the good thing about that is the stick doesn't get sore like your fingers do eventually. Given that it's extremely simple to learn to do that, it still has a great sound. And then if you want to go on to more complicated things, you can. What I learned was it can be a very challenging instrument to play. Parts of the dulcimer are my own design. The peg head on some of them, the way the tuners fasten. Because I have a background in music, I approach the dulcimer as an instrument. So if it doesn't sound right and it doesn't play well, then to me it's not worthwhile. I tell everybody when they buy one, along with the dulcimer you get some instructional material, but you also get me. And what I mean by that, and I really mean this, is my name, address, phone number, email address is scattered all through the information they get, and it's in the instrument itself. So if they have a problem, they have a question, they can email me or call me, and we'll resolve it, whatever it is. The best dulcimer I ever made went to a lady in Louisville, and she told me when I built it for her, she said, I'm going to leave the woods up to you, I'm going to leave the design up to you, But when you get it done, I just want you to say, I don't want to let you have it. And I built it out of cocobolo and spruce, put a pickup in it so she could plug it in to play it, and did some other, some inlays and that sort of thing that were a little fancier than what I normally do. And when I got it done, it was without question the best sounding one I had ever built. And I really did hate to let her have it. My real passion in the building is in the people. And what I mean by that is, you know, it's obviously I like to pay the bills, so money enters in a little bit, but the real thing that keeps me doing this is I'll talk to a person at a show, for example, and they just are not convinced they could ever learn to play a stringed instrument. But they, you know, after talking for a while and looking at the instrument, they'll decide they're going to try it. So they'll buy a dulcimer, and before the show's over, they'll come back with this grin that you can see across the parking lot, and they'll say, you know, I can play Amazing Grace. And that's the real satisfaction. I could never teach somebody in an hour or in 10 minutes to play the guitar, and I know what that's meant to me over the years. So just to know that I can share that in some way that's the real passion.